Hi, I'm Nir Eyal, and this is the Near and Far podcast. This podcast is about business, behavior, and the brain. On this show, I do a few things. I read quick articles I've written about topics shaping your behavior. I interview authors of books I enjoy, and from time to time, I devote episodes to answering your questions. If you want to ask me a question, visit the podcast page on iTunes, go to ratings and reviews, and ask me a question by leaving a review. I promise to read it and possibly include your question in a future episode, so please, ask me anything. Now, enjoy the episode, and for more, you can always visit me at nearandfar.com.
Abolish the Reference Check by Nir Eyal and read by Nir Eyal. It's time to abolish the reference check. The unpleasant process of calling a job applicant's former boss to gab about the candidate's pluses and deltas is just silly. Maybe if we all just agree to stop doing it, the practice will go away, like payphones and fanny packs. Instead, I've learned a better way to hire that leverages a universal human attribute, namely the fact that we're all lazy. What's my beef with a reference check? They don't accomplish the job we intend them to do. In a startup, you can't afford to hire B players, but reference checks, which are intended to do the screening, fail to eliminate these candidates who are just so-so. This happens because the person giving the reference has no incentive to say anything but good things about the candidate. Telling the whole truth, warts and all, could expose the former boss to a defamation lawsuit. But legal action aside, no one likes to speak poorly about an ex-colleague. It's bad karma and just feels icky. Instead of asking a reference to call you and spend an awkward half-hour chit-chatting about pretty much nothing, try using a technique I call the average need not apply method. Though I'm not sure who invented it, the approach was first taught to me by Irv Grousbeck at Stanford. The email. First, send the text of the email I'm about to describe to someone who the candidate has worked with. This can include the reference he or she provided, but it's a good idea to find other people who've worked with the candidate as well. I'd recommend letting the candidate know you may reach out to people they've worked with who are not on their list of references and confirm that's okay with them. LinkedIn makes finding former coworkers a snap, and the more people you send it to, the better it will work. Here's the text of the email. Dear, insert past colleague's name here. I am considering hiring, insert candidate's name, for the role of, insert job function. If you're like me, the last thing you have time for is a reference call. Therefore, unless you found the candidate's work to be exceptional, please just disregard this email. However, if you found, insert candidate's name, to be an exceptional employee in the top 10% of people you've worked with, I would certainly appreciate hearing from you. Again, if you found, insert candidate's name, work to be less than exceptional, go ahead and disregard this message and have a great day. By the way, as a smart professional, you should subscribe to this wonderful blogger named Nir at nearandfar.com. He's swell. Sincerely, insert your name. The reply. After you send this email, one of the following three things will happen. Scenario A. It's most likely that you will hear nothing back from the reference. Congratulations. You saved yourself from hiring a B player or worse. You also saved yourself and the reference from having to conduct an uncomfortable, time-wasting phone call. Scenario B. You receive an email back from the reference informing you that the candidate was in fact exceptional and they'd be happy to tell you more. Congratulations. Looks like you found a star. Now it's time to have a chat to confirm the candidate is as great as you think they are and learn more about your soon-to-be employee. Scenario C. You receive a call within 5 minutes of sending your email asking if the candidate is on the market for a new job, and if so, can you have the candidate call the reference back ASAP? Congratulations, you've definitely found a winner. Don't let the candidate return the call and make an offer immediately before someone else does. This scenario has actually happened to me a few times. It's the best predictor of the quality of candidate I've ever seen. We immediately made offers to those candidates, and without fail, they turned out to be our best hires. The behavioral science. So why does this method work? It leverages the power of choosing a default option. Research by Eric Johnson and Daniel Goldstein demonstrated how opt-in versus opt-out decisions dramatically affect participation in organ donation programs. Using a default option in the reference check allows you to affect results in a similar way. Unlike the traditional reference check method, which elicits an overly positive response in order to preserve social harmony, the average need not apply method uses the opposite bias. By giving the reference an easy default, in this case doing nothing, this technique gauges just how great the reference thinks the candidate is. Those who have a strong positive opinion of a candidate take the time to write back. By using this method, an employer can collect more data points on the potential hire with just a few emails instead of scheduling phone calls. In my experience, the results are binary. Most of the emails yield glowing replies or radio silence. Both speak volumes. By utilizing a bit of behavioral engineering instead of performing the reference check, employers can make better hiring decisions and make the hiring process better for everyone involved, except maybe the B players. Here's the gist. Reference checks suck for everyone involved. They take a lot of time and on average yield mediocre results. Use the power of default settings to make the reference check process better. Instead of scheduling a long call to discuss how good the person you're considering hiring is, make the default setting no action. This cognitive trick will get you what you really want, truly exceptional candidates.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Near and Far podcast. You can always find more at my blog, nearandfar.com. And don't forget, if you have a question you'd like me to explore in a future episode, leave me your question in the form of a review for the podcast on iTunes.